Hello, Moram here. Today I want to talk about the Malignant Hearts. There's a few leaked effects, basically all of them. There's 32 of them, and I want to highlight a few and showcase you what I found to be intriguing and what I found to be lackluster. So there's 4 colors: orange, blue, purple, and the super one, the wrathful one, that's white, I think, in the game, or gray here. General section has 3 of each. Now I will talk about the offensive ones first. There is Picanha, a really nice cut of meat. Critical strikes electrically charge enemies and you cause them to deal lightning damage to them and any other enemies around them. Especially with Tempting Fate, which is also tied to crit damage. I feel like crit damage got an insane amount of damage with those two. Especially builds like Crone Staff with Storm Strike scaling, Lightning Storm builds, and any sorcerer builds that scale a ton of lightning damage hits. It's going to be insane with this one. Not that's just a flat damage proc that's going to scale with your more multipliers, but this one, the Tempting Fate, gives us 60% crit damage. And this one is going to be most likely a more multiplier. Then we have non-critical strikes deal 15% less damage. Now is this going to affect the Druid in any way? We have Earth Might that guarantee 100% crits. We have Terror Mods on landslides. We have Waxing Gibbers on Shred, and we can get safely to around 80, maybe even 90% crit strike chance with basically any build on the Druid when utilizing, for example, Poison Creeper or Ravens. So I feel like Tempting Fate is going to be an insane amount of additional damage for the Druid. One of the strongest hearts in here. Next, the defensive ones, there is Revenge. Revenge is going to be a defensive monster. 10 to 20% incoming damage is suppressed, and then we release the damage with one of those skills. This one is then multiplied by 2.5 and is going to deal a ton of additional fire damage. So it's the suppressed damage plus the additional fire damage to nearby enemies. The Bulwark build is going to be insane with this one. Trample Slide going to be insane with this one. Any melee build is going to be absolutely insane with this one. It's going to deal a ton of damage, and it's still going to mitigate damage. So this one is going to be absolutely worth it picking up instead of the armor. And then there is something for hardcore players that's probably going to mold them. Prudent Heart, a hit that loses you 20% life in a single hit is going to make you immune for 2 to 4 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 2 minutes, basically. So that's a cheat death effect for every class. I feel like this one is going to be absolutely mandatory on every single build. So you're going to slap this one into your rings and basically never take this one off. It's incredibly strong. Then you have Determination, which is, how do I put it? There is this Nightmare Dungeon modifier that drains your primary resource, right? So this one makes it less effective, but it's definitely not worth losing 250 armor for this. Then we have Retaliation, which is funny because there is an aspect that's called like that. So this one deals fire damage to surrounding enemies whenever a crowd controlled effect is removed from you. The damage is subpar. This one is also a utility one, but it deals damage. So would have expected something better here, especially for the slot. Not going to be huge. Definitely not going to be huge. Moving on to the next one. The Calculated. After spending 150 to 200 primary resource, the next attack is going to stun enemies. Now this one is going to be really good for sorcerers. Not so much for any other class. It's just utility, not going to affect our damage at all. Sorcerers specifically will be having a field day with this one, especially on ball lightning. You can cast this one, you cast constantly ball lightnings. So some of them are going to apply a stun, 2-second stuns for the whole duration when they are rotating around the character. So that's really strong, calculated for the sorcerers, not so much for the druid. And then we have the 3 super aspects. Those can be applied to every single slot in your jewelry, not just specific colors. Malignant Pact, every 20 kills we're going to cycle through Vicious, Devious and Brutal. Vicious is going to give us 20 attack speed, which is okay. Devious is going to give us a 15% chance to fully restore our primary resource. Keep in mind, that's not a lucky hit effect, so that's 15% flat as far as this one is concerned. And it's going to restore our full primary resource. That's absolutely insane. That's much better than the Earth Might effect. That's much better than any effect you can get on your gear. It's just insane. Like Malignant Pact, just for this one, just for this single devious effect, is going to be busted. And then you have Brutal, every 21 seconds, gain an additional barrier. This one has a duration, so I'm not entirely sure if this one stays on your character and you cycle through basically all 3 of them, but Brutal is up all the time. I guess it will be because it's 21 seconds, but I'm not entirely sure. Now this one is very strong, especially for primary resource sustain on basically any build. Next up is Creeping Death. This one is going to affect our overtime effects, basically only our poison based on the different crowd control effects we apply, so immobilize, stun, slow, whatever. All of them will increase the damage of the poison over time, and you can pop that. And this one is really strong during grinding. And support monsters we don't encounter all that much because we one-shot everything, and staggered bosses we also don't encounter at all because we don't have the CC capabilities to apply stagger to bosses. But it would increase the damage we deal to bosses with our poison by a ton. So Creeping Death will be really strong on poison pop builds, but not on anything else, I think. Maybe Hurricane, because it's a damage over time effect, but I'm not entirely sure. Then we have Barber. Barber is one of the strongest effects I have ever seen. All damage that we deal after dealing a critical strike is going to be stored for 2 to 4 seconds on the enemy, and then it's going to erupt onto surrounding enemies. And the stored damage is going to be increased by 10% per second. This looks like it's going to double dip. So expect billions of damage. Billions of damage. This one looks like the strongest thing in the entire game. It's just so insane. The only drawback is you need to survive. Next, each class is going to receive 1 additional for each type. I will show them on screen. So the Barbarian has those. The Necromancer has those. The Rogue has those. And the Sorcerer has those. I will specifically talk and focus about the Druid ones. So Moonrage is the first one, having a chance on kill to summon a companion wolf for 20 to 30 seconds. And we get 3 ranks to wolves. The 3 ranks are not important. We want to focus on the chance. That's so far not affected by lucky hit chance. So the lucky hit chance of a skill, like for example 10%, is not going to affect this. This is always 5%. And the duration is 20 to 30 seconds. When we run through a dungeon and we kill a ton of enemies, like for example spiders, we're going to summon a ton of wolf companions. And we can then combine this one with Shepherd's Aspect. We are going to receive a more damage multiplier. On an amulet, that's 15%. On a two-handed weapon, that's 20%. If we run through a dungeon, we proc this one on average every 20th enemy we kill. When we have a ton of spiders, we're going to run around with like basically 10 different wolf companions. That's 200, up to 200% more damage. This one, the Moonrage, is going to be absolutely insane. Like the Lightning Storm companion build, the Poison Shred build, both of those will be insane with this one. This one is going to be basically the best in slot hard. We want this one on every single companion build because this one is just incredibly strong. Then we have Agiated Wind. When there's 8 to 13 enemies close by, we're going to cast Cyclone Armor automatically. This can occur every 10 to 20 seconds. Nice to have, but not really important. Then we have the Force. 30 to 50 distant enemies are pulled towards you when you use an ultimate skill. Press Petrify, Suck, Damage. Mind blown. Incredibly strong. It's one of the strongest things I have seen here. So far the hearts are insane. And I'm pretty sure while you have an ultimate skill active, you're going to constantly suck enemies into you. This means Greasy Rage and Cataclysm will have a permanent suck effect on distant enemies. Really, really, really interesting. And then we have Unconstrained Beast. When you're hit with a stun, freeze or knockback effect, there is a 40 to 60% chance to automatically activate Greasy Rage for 3 seconds. This would not be that useful when we look at this one just pre-patch, but because Greasy Rage doesn't have 100% uptime anymore, and the Unstoppable buff is going to be only 6 seconds long, this one doesn't look as bad as initially thought. An enemy stuns you, you activate Greasy Rage, get Unstoppable for 3 seconds for the whole duration, and then you move on. Happens quite often, and I think this one will help substantially, but you need to keep in mind you only have 3 slots. So if you're picking Moonrage, Force, and Constrained Beast, you cannot pick any of the general ones, but if you want Prudent Heart, Revenge, you can only pick like one of those. So on, for example, a Bulwark build, you can pick Cataclysm and then you're sucking enemies constantly into your Bulwark and then pop your Bulwark. So really strong version of this one. So I'm very satisfied with the hearts. The hearts are very interesting and will open up a ton of build options. I feel like the sweet spot for this season is going to be around Nightmare Dungeon 60. Anything above that is not going to be pleasant to clear solo and you will group up to clear those dungeons. only very few builds will be able to push high Knight Malignants this season, especially with the DR changes. So seeing those hearts is at least something I'm looking forward to. Anyway, if you like this type of content, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment if you have any questions, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, you can join the channel membership or leave a donation if you have the spare coin. See you next time, and bye.